All right, we're going live. Hello, welcome everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to another installment of Get a Clue in 52 for coaches, myself included. That's right. I never thought I would be coaching myself in the process of writing a book, but that's kind of some of the experience that I felt in the process of writing these 52 tips. And this is my third tips book. And let me just, by way of introductions, I can tell everybody that it started with this one, Get a Clue in 52. The original, this one had all the mistakes in it that I found when I was reading one tip per week and streaming into the Facebook group on Sunday nights in 2020. And then we improved it. We found all the mistakes and improved them and came out with this version, which I'm much happier about or happier with. And the 5 categories that you can see here are accountability, communication, marketing, networking, and sales. So 10 tips in each of these categories, but an extra 2 in the marketing. So I'd have a year's worth. And then with a client of mine, we co-authored this project, Get a Clue in 52 for entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur edition. And we did it in his branding and in my branding, 2 different ISBN numbers and so forth. I see Margot is in the waiting room here. Let's let her in. Hi, Margot. Welcome.
I'm doing Good morning.
Yeah, we'll get to interactive dialogue in a minute. Let me set the table. I'm just reviewing the history of the Get a Clue in 52 series of tips books, right? So it started with the first one. We did a second edition of the first one. Then we did the entrepreneur edition. And that brought us to this year where, wait, hang on. You're coming in twice? Oh, no, there's Sue. Okay, let's get Sue in here. Great. Awesome. Wonderful people. This is cool. So I did write the integrity game last year, but that's not what this is about. I'm doing plenty of promotion for the integrity game, but this is Get a Clue in 52. I decided to do for coaches of all the Get a Clue in 52 books I could do, of all the 52 tips that I could string together. This is the year that I wanted it to be about coaching because I found myself involved in California Coaches, a nonprofit organization that has a mission to help coaches build their practices, is what I like to say, build their businesses, build their practices. You could split a hair on that if you want to. And then that led me to assist in the merger between California Coaches and what started in San Diego is now, beyond San Diego, the Professional Coaches Alliance. And Margot, you're the VP of programs for the Professional Coaches Alliance. So you've been wonderful in joining, most of the weeks this year. And that's what I want to do. I want to create a bridge between what I'm doing professionally. I'm at the point in my career now where I have a lot to give back to aspiring and emerging coaches. I have a lot to give back to service providers, people that sell to us to help us keep our head straight and get more efficient and avoid mistakes. And I also have a lot to learn from people like you, Margot, and others that have been in the game a long time, the giants whose shoulders I want to stand on to see brighter and further for where I'm going in this world. So I have a lot to learn from anybody that's been in the game 17 years or more, right? And I have a lot to give from anybody that's been in the game 17 years or less, right? It's not that clean of a cut, but the idea is it would be, I thought it would be fun this year to spend the year every single week talking about this whole idea of coaching as a profession, as a skill set, as an endeavor, as an entrepreneurial enterprise, as an income earning hobby, wherever you're at in it. I want to be in this conversation every single week this year. And I'm a big fan of synergy, right? When we do one thing that serves more than one purpose. And I believe that doing this on Fridays, this book, this content is serving more than one purpose. And it's fun. It's a fun way to get the Friday going. It's a fun way to celebrate the week. So there you have it. The 5 categories in Get a Clue in 52 for coaches, as you can see here: self-promotion, which is the section that we're in right now. And when we wrap up self-promotion, then we're going to move on to, what is it here? Enrollment and engagement, and then motivation and accountability. And then finally, the last 12 tips of this book will be the last 12 weeks of the year. We're going to talk about practice building, essentially the 12 accountabilities on any org chart for any business that have to be met. So if your business isn't growing or you're experiencing pain on a regular basis, does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? We've got a 12-point diagnostic that we're going to have a lot of fun rolling through in the last couple months of the year. 12 weeks, 12 tips should take us 3 months. It's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about what we're here to talk about today, which is self-promotion. And let me do a quick review of the tips that we've covered so far in self-promotion. Oh, my banners, me and my welcome. Welcome to Get a Clue in 52 for Coaches. This book is dedicated to my family. And special shout out to Troy Hoffman, who wrote the foreword. And tip number 1 in self-promotion was start calling yourself a coach. We all have to embrace that identity. And for me, when I learned how to coach and I got comfortable Coach Jeffrey and being called Coach Jeffrey, when I actually respond when somebody called me coach, I was like, wow, this is cool. But it was so exciting. I was like a kid in a candy store, right? I'm telling everybody that had eye contact and a pulse, right? And then what I realized is, hey, only call yourself a coach when people care, when it's relevant, when it's viable, when it matters, right? Just my excitement for it alone isn't the best reason, to start telling everybody. There's got to be something that's in it for them. Everybody is, self-motivated. What's in it for me? So there's got to be a relevance for the other person when I'm calling myself a coach out there in the world, right? And then don't just call yourself a coach. Never mind how I feel about the word just. But the idea is this: we are either several things before we become a coach, or if we stay in the coaching game long enough, we will become several things thereafter. So we're never just a coach. And if we're only a coach, we're still never just a coach. We're a coach, right? So I'm a world-class coach or some qualifier, like I'm a marketing coach or a sales coach, never just call yourself a coach. What kind of a coach are you, right? A world-class coach. I'm a communication coach. I'm a sales coach. I'm a coach of the coaches. But give me some qualifier that distinguishes me from just bland, I'm a coach. Because we don't know what the world thinks about coaches. It's just like any profession, real estate, lawyer, financial advisor. Some people do it really well and some people don't. So we don't know what the world thinks about coaches. So I would be very careful and very specific and avoid just calling yourself a coach. Excuse me. Tip number 4 in this section. Hang on a second, you guys. All right, it's getting warm in here. I had my heater on, but now I'm good. I'm warmed up, coffee and everything. So tip number 4 is stop calling yourself a coach, right? And I want to get through these tips. These are recorded. You could go back at LinkedIn if you want to watch the full explanation of tip number 4. You can get the book and read it. But stop calling yourself a coach. The basic idea here is this, is that if you're in the game and you're getting good, you want to self-promote. If you call yourself a coach, you're limiting yourself. So I'm a soft skills guy, or I'm a solution provider, or I'm a communications consultant, or I am a personal professional growth advocate, or whatever. Coaching is on the menu. But as soon as I call myself a coach, and if that's the only way that I describe myself, then it's going to be harder for me to promote other solutions that are handled not with coaching, right? Consulting, training, speaking, info products, mastermind, some other version of personal professional growth or skill development. Coaching isn't the only solution. So if we call ourselves a coach, we've cut ourselves off from fluidity in proposing those other solutions that are available and often necessary and often a better choice than coaching, right? So there we go. We're always more than a coach. We should always, coaching should be on our menu, of course, but what else is on our menu? We're solution providers. So when we get super honest about our why, that's tip number 5. And that's really just owning the money part. We want to be compensated. We deserve to be compensated. What we do as a living, as coaching, as a profession, very super valuable. It's a unique relationship. And if we're good at it, you're not in business if you're giving it away for free. You got to own the fact that you want to earn an income or at least supplement a part. There's got to be honesty about the exchange of value and the income earning part of what you do. And if you're afraid of that or suffocating that or hiding that, you're going to have a hard time growing a business, right? Because my name is business. I have needs. And one of those is revenue, right? So we have to be honest about that. Okay. So every answer to any other question depends on our honest answer to questions of purpose. What's the purpose? And the purpose is, I believe, because we want to make money either in addition to or in place of how we are currently making money. That's if we can own that, we're going to have more confidence, more fidelity, less vagaries when we're promoting ourselves. And the truth is, we all want meaningful work with a monetized skill set that allows us to be ourselves and call our own shots, right? So that's the truth. We all want that. And so we get super confident in tip number 6 about our what. And this is when we shift from self-promoting to solution promoting, right? And this is the Kluby snack that I love here is we must welcome the transition from self-promotion to solution promotion. We get super clear about the what, right? And then tip number 7 in this section was are you ready, Margot, as my resident HR person? Professionally. Get professionally intimate. Like as a joke now, I don't even like reading name tags anymore, right? If I see a name tag, you know what I'm saying, Margot, right? I'll just keep eye contact. And I'll be like, will you tell me your name, please? And they'll be like, well, it's right there. I'm like, you're not making me look. No way. Not after that. There was a Me Too movement. Not after that Trump guy got caught doing whatever. No way. I'm going to keep eye contact and please tell me your name.
You just made it more awkward, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of that's going on in my head is what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just saying, my point is, thank you for laughing. Get professionally intimate, right? Just to make sure I'm teasing, the world of whatever the world is, right? That we live in. It's interesting. Tip number 8 is forget your how, right? And this is, this isn't new information. Anybody that's done any sales training out there or whatever, you should be selling benefits, not features. And people that aren't confident about their pricing, or if they're afraid to close, or they're afraid of rejection, they could get caught talking about the how, and the features of coaching. And this is how it works. And this is what you get. And Wait, what does it cost? Well, this is how it works. And yeah, but what's the investment? Well, this is how it works. You forget all of that, right? Anyway, features versus benefits, that the how isn't as important unless they ask, how does coaching work? What is the anatomy of a coaching session? What are we going to do first, second, third? Then answer that question, of course. But if you're answering that question before it's asked of you, you're actually putting off some other communication that you really need in that dialogue, in that setting. So then last week, I believe it was, I was in Carlsbad. It was really cool. I was in Carlsbad, and we did the 7:30 a.m. edition because at 8:30 I was delivering the first of 4 workshops, integrity game workshops on marketing mindset that were sandwiched. The workshop sandwiched a keynote. So I had a really fun day. Sue and Margot, last Friday, a week ago today, I did a 45-minute workshop. They rotated. The next group came in, did a workshop, gave the keynote, had lunch, and then did the same workshop 2 more times with groups A, B, C, and D. It all come through. And it was wonderful. The keynote for the integrity game lands. I love being around people. It's so nice that things are opened up and we can be at the front of the room with 150 people in the room and feel that energy. Like, I get so energized with that many people. And the message was landing, and I was wildly complimented on how the messages of the integrity game landed and how it fit for the theme and the brand promise for the conference. I was super excited. But at 7:30 in the morning, we read this tip right here, tip number 9, 7 reversible questions for networking, right? And I love the idea of a reversible jacket. You can wear it this way, you can wear it this way. So if you imagine 7 questions, reversible means you want to memorize these questions so that you can ask them of others when you're networking. In a way, that's one way to self-promote, is being very interested in others, right? Seek first to understand, then to be understood, is what Stephen Covey teaches us, right? In 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But the other thing, the reversible side of that, is that if somebody beats you to the punch, if they've been trained by Klu back, and they start asking you those questions first, you want to have answers to these questions. So these questions are both, you want to be able to ask them and know what your answers are to those 7 reversible questions that we talked about last week. So without getting into the details of those, let me go ahead and move us towards tip number 10. Finally, here we are. Before I get into the word for word of it all, let me acknowledge the guests that are on live with me. Margot, I've said hello to you, and Sue, let me say hello to you as well. Do you guys have anything that you want to say or share or celebrate or promote before I get into the word for word tip reading today?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Just, interrupt at any time. I'm grateful that you guys are taking the time to be here, and I've got my agenda every week, but I also want to, acknowledge you guys and make sure you hear my gratitude that you're here, and it's a little more interactive than it would be if I was all by myself. All right. With a sip of coffee down, tip number 10. This is on page 46 if you're following along at home in your playbooks. All right, here we go. Tip number 10, prepare to, in parentheses, speak your way to success. Here we go, word for word. It is difficult to imagine a more effective way to self-promote than through public speaking. Certainly, the greatest upticks I've ever seen in my career as a coach, the spikes in visibility, lead generation, sales, business opportunities, and other things like fun, satisfaction, pride, impact, and additional marketing collateral, all come from successful public speaking experiences. I'm constantly hosting live streams, guesting on podcasts, offering to be a featured speaker for lunch and learns, online summits, professional happy hours, and just about anywhere I'd have a reason to tell people I'm speaking somewhere about something. Easy for you, you may say, or easy for you may say, question mark. I got to do the rising inflection now, with my own grammar and punctuation there. Anyway, all right. I know we're talking about a huge fear for many people, but let's clear the air right now. Despite what social science tells us, I believe we are not afraid of public speaking, and we are certainly not more afraid of public speaking than death. I am referring to the actual moments that we are on stage with all the eyeballs upon us. That is not what we're afraid of. What we are really afraid of is preparing for that moment, afraid of the work and vulnerability it takes to prepare for public speaking. So many of us use fear of public speaking as the reason to avoid the work. I believe that it isn't even fear of public speaking that prevents us from preparing as much as simply not knowing and trusting a process of preparation. Let's face it, we are guaranteed to perform better at anything in life if we prepare well, rather than not preparing at all or poorly preparing. I'm sure that luck or the law of large numbers can offer us exceptions, but by and large, preparation is the mother of performance. There are those of you who will say that you are not afraid of speaking. Okay, cool. There are those of you that will say you're not afraid of speaking, that you love it and already do it as much or more than even I do. Great. So do even more and get even better. What is the next level for you in self-promoting through public speaking? There is always a next level to prepare for. Since 1997, I've been teaching adults how to get past their fears of public speaking by getting them focused on my proven 8-step process for preparing to speak with confidence. Most of this experience has been in the college level classroom, but when I formed Get A Klu in 2007, I started working privately with entrepreneurs, business owners, top producing sales and life service professionals and corporate leaders, even scientists. Today, literally thousands of people have gotten past their fear, improved their messaging, and optimized their confidence for public speaking using my proven 8-step process. So here it is. For a free copy of my ebook, 8 Steps to Fearless Public Speaking, send an email to info@getaklu.net with Be Fearless in the subject line. So there it is. All right. So I'm not breaking down all 8 tips. We can talk about it if you want. But if you guys want to get a copy of that book, let me create a banner around it and the tip as well. But let me open up for conversation. Any feedback while I'm creating some banners and some visuals for people? Public speaking, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out to me was that comment, not knowing and trusting a process of preparation.
Yeah, that's the Kluby snack actually that we lifted out and
Yeah.
put into the promotional stuff that's out there. That's the Kluby snack, that particular line. Keep going. What more about that?
I think my observation anyway, so many people that don't do well at public speaking don't have that awareness that there's a structure that can sit behind it to make that presentation or that whatever they're doing effective and make it land and be able to connect with their audience. So it's partly that lack of awareness and not understanding that by doing the work, you know, you can't just stand up and be a good speaker without doing that work. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
go ahead,
a
Margaret,
lot
yeah.
of people think they can wing it, you
Mm.
know, because they're good on their feet kind of thing. But that's hit or miss. I really think the preparation is the key.
Yeah,
But
and
it's what preparation you do. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah. And you know, it's the metaphor I'm about to bring up is it's not 100% match, but there's portions of this metaphor that apply. It isn't. Have you either of you heard the story about when Picasso was spotted by a coffee drinker in the coffee shop? It's like, oh my God, that's Picasso. Did you guys hear this one? So Picasso was doodling on a napkin, not too different from my chicken scratch on my napkins, right? So Picasso was doodling on the napkin, sipping coffee, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's Pablo Picasso! Oh my God, I wonder what's on that napkin, right?" And Pablo Picasso pushes away from the table and is about to get up, and you can see the nonverbal, the hand's about to grab and crunch up the napkin and throw it away, and the person's like, "Hey! Don't throw that away! I'll give you $5 for that napkin." And Picasso says, "I'm sorry, this napkin's worth $50,000. It's like, you kidding? You were going to throw it away? $5 for a napkin? You got to be kidding me. It's no. It's not $5 for the napkin. What you'd be paying for is the totality of my career and all of the instances and all of the fits and starts and everything I've done in my life to be able to doodle on this napkin is what it's not the napkin. It's everything that got me here." So the metaphor here is forget value and pricing and all of that. That's part of what that metaphor is all about, to give people the confidence to price for value rather than, you know, cost of goods sold or whatever, right? What's the value and on and on. I had a conversation yesterday. Somebody's like, "Jeff, I'm giving a talk and I want to work the integrity game into it so I can help you." And I'm like, "Well, I sell licenses and certifications. It would help me if you bought a license or a certification. That would help. Like, but if you're expecting me to coach you for free after I've spent my entire career building this brand and thousands of dollars getting intellectual property protection for the thing, and you think I'm just going to train you to go use my content to go, like, sorry, I love that you think that I'm a really nice guy. I love that part of all of this. But if you really want to help me, you'll get a license or certification and you'll heed my warning that I've got patent protection. I've never had to issue cease and desist. I don't want you to be my first. So tell me, how can I help you?" So in other words, we have to protect the totality of our intellectual property and the journey and so forth. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it's very easy to sit in an audience at a stage or sit online and watch somebody speaking and say, I could do that. Because all you're seeing right there is what they're saying in the moment, but you're not seeing everything beneath the tip of the iceberg that got them there. Right? Like if I'm dynamic in my live streams, it's because I've hosted 1,000 of them. You know, that's the whole point. It's like, so I think that's something that's, you know, we're talking about preparation, but I think that's the story that comes to mind, right? Is that people think they can wing it. I could do that. But they're basing the I can do that based on seeing the finished product. You can't see on stage all the preparation. You can't see all the work that went into it. You can't see the years of fits and starts. And you can't see how many times I got vegetables thrown at me just to be able to have the confidence that I have in front of you right now. Oh, I could do that. Cool. Is it going to be a tomato or is it going to be cabbage? What do you mean? Well, because to do what I did, I had a bunch of vegetables thrown at me, and I'm wondering which vegetables are going to be thrown at you first before you're ready to go do what I just did. They don't see that part. People want instant gratification. They want to press fast forward and get the instant gratification without doing the work. And now doing the work, there's a lot of people that are willing to do the work if they trust the process. And I'm telling you, you have every reason to trust my 8 steps to fearless public speaking. It's proven. So what else? What else we got? And by the way, let me go ahead and put that in there, you guys. What other comments or questions do you have about this tip? And let's be sure that we're clear about the tip is speak your way to success. But the parentheses is prepare to, right? So you don't just start speaking your way to success. You got to prepare. What's your messaging? What's your content? What's your curriculum? What are your calls to action? What's your claim statements? What are the pieces of evidence? What stories are you telling? And how does the audience see themselves in the stories that you're telling? And what points do the stories that you want to tell make? And how are you credible? And we can get into all of that, right? What's your purpose? What's your topic? What are your main points? What are your sub points? How are you preparing? What are your visuals going to be like? How do you avoid death by PowerPoint? I mean, I can go on and on and on about how hard it is, right? But it's easier if there's a proven process. There's a lot of people in this world that aren't afraid of the work if you just tell them what the work is, right? But to go find a process to prepare can be tougher. There's a lot of speaking coaches and speaking trainings out there in the world. I know a thing or two about public speaking. I taught public speaking in the college classroom for 20 years, and I've been doing public speaking to get myself out there in the world. And I just did, I got thousands of dollars to do a 1-hour keynote on Friday, right? And that, by the way, Margot, what's cool about that is that it was a former student of mine that reached out to me, a student of mine from 10 years ago. Hey, Jeff, I don't know, it's always the same thing, Sue. Hi, Professor Klubeck. I don't know if you remember me. It's always the same way, right? And some of them are cool, like, hey, Kluby, because I tell them not to call me Professor Klubeck, but some do anyway. I don't know if you remember me, but I took your class 10 years ago, and I'm now the director of marketing at ABC Company. I'll plug them. Actually, it's the good people at Ceramic Pro. So what they do is they provide all of the materials for car dealers, car detailing businesses. So around the country, there's people that have a business detailing cars, high-end cars, or cars for high-end people, real estate agents that need to have the good-looking car, and on car enthusiasts, etc. And so they supply them not just with their product, but also with a lot more what I call structural integrity, reinforcements for running their business, marketing, operations, systems, etc. So great people at Ceramics Pro, and it was really cool. It's like, we need a speaker, and 10 years later, like nothing's happened in this guy's life in the last 10 years that he thought of anybody else better than Professor Klubeck to invite in for the keynote. So I can give you all kinds of examples about how my approach to public speaking is proven. As a matter of fact, one other thing I can tell you is, and Sue, you know this, a lot of these people, right? If you go to my YouTube channel, let me type it in. I'll create a banner for it. My YouTube channel, I can even grab the link and put the link in here. That would be fun. But YouTube channel is Watch Get a Clue, all one word, Watch Get a Clue. If you go to my YouTube channel on Watch Get a Clue, there's a playlist. There's a playlist in there that is a series of testimonials, and over 40 of them are for people all around the world that I was assigned to go and be their speaker coach. Entrepreneurs that paid a lot of money to go get on a big stage as part of their branding and marketing, and I would show up in Australia or Amsterdam or Germany or Thailand, or I was 12 countries, 4 continents. I'd say, all right, congratulations, you made an investment in yourself, and I'm here to be your speaker coach. What are you going to talk about? And they'd be like, well, that's what you're for. I'm like, you spent how much money and you don't know what you want to talk about? So I'm talking about my process is it goes deep to who are you? What is your personal brand? And now we don't even write the speech until I take the time to really get to know you. Does that make sense? And so the 8 steps that I'm promoting, 8 steps to fearless public speaking, the time that I'm going to take to really get to know you so that your voice, your brand, your competitive advantages, your promises, your offerings, the very best of you is infused throughout this speech. And then the mechanics of writing a speech and preparing for a speech, main points, sub points, outlining, visual aids, etc. I could take you through that. But at first, we got to know who you are, what's amazing about you, and what are the audiences looking for, on and on and on. So you can see all these testimonials of people that were nervous. They thought that they had blown their money at some seminar, right? And then I show up, a world-class coach, and they actually get a great speech that they're really proud of behind a great brand, and they're super excited. And you can see all of that emotion in those testimonials. So there's a lot of ways that I can confidently prove to you that my 8 steps to fearless public speaking is proven. And get a free copy of the book and check it out for yourself. And I'd be thrilled to send that to you. I used to only send a freebie, the fifth step to fearless public speaking. I would just give people one step, one of the 5th step to make them, well, what are the first 4 and what are the next 3, or whatever. Take all 8 steps, right? And if have them all. And if that gets you going, cool. But maybe you might want to give me a call after you've read through the book and get some soundboarding, some feedback, and some other assistance with myself or a coach that I've trained. But for today, the argument is if we're self-promoting in anything, I personally don't believe, especially in like service providing, I don't know if there's a better way to promote yourself than public speaking. I'm not sure. Can you guys think of a better way to promote yourself than public speaking, Sue or Margot?
I mean, the things you've listed, I've done. Some I haven't, and it's a really healthy reminder that I need to get back to some of those practices.
Well, need to or want to, it may not be a need. I laugh because in the write-up, and by the way, we can do a plug. I don't know if one of us can grab the link, Margot, for the thing that I'm doing for PCA later on this month, right? Right. We can put that link in here somewhere. Like, I don't know. I can grab it if somebody talks for a minute, if I'm double-minded, right? But what was I going to say there? It's funny because I say the write-up that I gave and, the virtual assistant or whoever's, promoting and everything, didn't edit it. I was trying to be cute and funny and my silly, jovial self. Margot, I said, unless your name is Margot Garcia, you've probably struggled with these things in building your practice. In other words, I was joking and trying to be teasy funny internally with us, right? But the comment is, but you're interviewing me on the page, so it's not that awkward to have your name listed there. But you've been very clear, like, hey, I'm at a point in my career where I'm not trying to grow and scale and win and beat other coaches and get market share and drink from a fire hydrant. Coaching is a lifestyle play for me that fits perfectly because I'm not doing the corporate thing anymore, but I got tons more to give, and I'm going to control the pace at which I serve people. So I bring all of that up. I say, unless your name is Margot Garcia, that's the joke part of it in that context. But in this context, I don't think you need, right, to do public speaking. It's just, do you want to? And how do you want to? I'll tell you one thing right now. I mean, I haven't gotten so fluid on screen sharing and StreamYard that I'm going to deviate and etc. But I'm a very visual person. I like to screen share and show stuff. But I'll tell you, I hired last year when I knew that I was going to be promoting the integrity game. I knew the integrity game was coming out in April. And so in January, I hired, are you ready? I hired a booking agent for podcasts. So yeah, if anybody wants an introduction to my booking agent, they do I think a pretty good job. So it was, and I hope I'm not, unless they've raised their prices in the last year or so, it was $1,000 up front to onboard. They would interview me. I would give them all my collateral. What's my story, my bio, headshot, a write-up of, what topics can I speak on, and give them their stuff. And then it's just every time they book me for a podcast, it's $200. And they do the scheduling, the coordinating, and they make sure the communication is solid. And I get a link and I just show up and I just start talking when I get interviewed. But they always ask me first, Jeff, do you want this one? Do you want this one? Do you want this one? And then I'll look and I'll see. And they do a great job matching. I've never said, no, that one's not for me. I've said yes to all of them. And it's totally worth $200 to me. If somebody's going to go and find a podcast for me to be on. And now if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, or if you looked at my my media kit on the booking agent's website, you'll see all of these podcasts that I've been on. If you type in Klubeck and Apple Podcasts or whatever, you see them listed there, and it all of a sudden it begins to look impressive. You know, like, wow, this guy's been on, like in the last year, I've been on probably 14, 15, 16 podcasts. And that goes out to there. And then you hear from people like, hey, Jeff, who are you? Oh, I heard you on a podcast. Like, wow, how cool, right? And so it's just, and then you got the content, and there's just so much value in public speaking. We can cut it 6 ways from, so, you know, it's something to consider. But my question here is, can we think of a better way to promote, a better way to self-promote than public speaking? I'm happy to be wrong, but my argument is there's no better way than public speaking.
Yeah, because it's your opportunity to share not only what's on your mind, but what you've done, what you've written about, what you've spoken about in other venues. It's really about helping people get to know who you are and what you bring.
Yeah, I think in a live situation, there's more opportunity than that. Like I've been on the stage in a room and coached somebody from the stage and changed somebody's life from the stage, right? Or I'm public speaking, but now there's my chance to promote the organizer who hired me. Now I can help them. So it's not just self-promotion, but there's a lot of other things you can do in a public speaking situation. I'm public speaking right now, right, which is self-promotion, but I'm also giving insights, and I'm promoting the Professional Coaches Alliance, right? By the way, speaking of promoting
and your book, and I mean, there's just lots of
there's so many dynamic opportunities. So I'll keep scratching my head to see if there's a better way to promote yourself than public speaking. Of course, you want to make sure you're doing a good job. Like, careful what you're promoting. Like, I've seen some speakers that were promoting that they should not be speaking yet. I've seen it just in those situations. I've seen somebody that paid the thousands of dollars and they either didn't get a coach or didn't listen to the coach or didn't know what they're doing. It was an impulse purchase, and they got up there on stage and they froze, and the clock is ticking, and you can literally see them freaking out, melting silence, and the audience is like cheering, like, come on, you can do it, you got this. And it's like, oh God, whoa. So, if you're not willing to do the work of preparation, then I don't think that public speaking is for you, right? And if you want to get up there and wing it, go ahead. I mean, now at this point, I can wing things. I can show up and just start talking, but that doesn't ever feel as good as when I know that I've prepared. But I have prepared. It's the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, not just speaking myself, but getting other people ready to speak gives me an acumen, gives me a readiness when I show up. And it's not, public speaking, even like being a professor. You're facilitating the classroom. You're puppeteering all of these different behavioral styles, trying to keep them engaged. So it's not just getting a message up, but it's facilitating. It's securing engagement.
Well, and reading the room.
Reading the room.
Are they hearing what I'm saying? Do I need to say it in a different way? What's going on in that conversation in the back corner there? I mean, there's just lots of stuff you need to pay attention to.
I totally said that before I started speaking last week. I said, hey, you guys all the way in the back, before I get started, I want to know, you can sit there, but I call on people in the back. Okay? So if you want to get called on, if you want to interact, and if you want to participate, then sit there. If you don't want me to call on you, then you got to come sit up front. So fun stuff like that.
Did they move?
No, they didn't. They didn't move. So I don't, a week has gone by. I don't remember their names professionally. I forgot who their names are. I'm not going to call anybody out right now. But it's like, you got to read the room. You got to get everybody engaged. You're not just speaking, but you're trying to create an experience. You're trying to, and the other thing too, we can talk more about public speaking. People say, well, what's your tips for public speaking? I love when people say, Jeff, when I'm on stage, what should I do with my hands? If you're worried about what you look like as the speaker, what you're doing with your hands, you're missing it, right? Your hands should just naturally flow the way your emotions are when you're saying what you need to say. What you should be focused on is the impact that you're making on the audience, right? The audience will forgive whatever you're doing with your hands if your messaging is good and they feel that you're talking to them rather than interacting with your own memorization or your own vanity, right? And human beings were trained non-verbally. We were reading nonverbal communication before there was language, right? So we still have those tendencies. We can see when non-verbally somebody's interacting with themselves or when their mind is elsewhere versus when, like, I'm trying to be all the time with you guys, like present, like totally. You guys can tell I'm like with you, right? And Margot, in other instances, you've seen me when I'm on Zooms with a bunch of people and I'm reading the room and noting facial expressions and my timing. And, I'm just like I see as like a puppeteer a little bit. And it's a lot of fun. I'm a type of behavioral style that gets a lot of energy from people. So it's easier to read the room and feel that energy for some than others, but everybody can do it. And anybody can do anything if the preparation is there and the willingness to do the work is there. And most people are willing to do the work. They just don't know how. And I'm offering an 8-step process to shop it against any other method that you could get trained or more confidence in public speaking. But the tip remains. I don't think there's a better way to self-promote than public speaking.
And you talking about podcasts too, Jeff,
yeah,
is a reminder that public speaking these days is not just from stage. Digital environment has given us so many more opportunities for public speaking, and sometimes it's allowing ourselves to broaden that perspective of what constitutes public speaking these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I'm doing right now is public speaking. It's a conversation. We're in the conversation piece of it, but hey, everybody, welcome to Get a Klu in 52. Let me run through. All of that stuff is public speaking, right? I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to make it in the comments. I don't know, again with StreamYard, but Margot, I found the link, so I'm going to put it in the comments.
Good.
This is the link. It's in the comments, and I'm going to create a banner for it as well, I guess. Right. But you can go to the Professional Coaches Alliance website. But it also, if you're able to type in or copy this banner right here, there it is. See the professionalcoachesalliance.com/ that's easy, right? 2023-03-28. That's
Which
the date.
is the date of your presentation.
Yeah, and can I just take a deep breath and let you talk about what that's all about? Can you talk about Biz Labs, Connect and Learn, PCA programming, and why you're so happy to have me, Jeff Klubeck, as the Biz Labs speaker on the 28th?
I am so happy to have you. the what are we calling them? I can't recall. There is a name for this follow-up session that our business builder members are hosting. And it allows the business builder members of our Professional Coaching Alliance community to present on a topic of their choice, usually their area of expertise. They have a session on Monday or it's 2 days, and it can be Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. It's of your choice. So on the 28th.
Can you guys see my screen now? By the way,
there we go. So it's Tuesday, Thursday. Perfect. So
you guys can right now. You can see my screen.
Yeah, the Biz Lab is for the member to talk about their area of expertise. And then 2 days later, do a deep dive where anyone who has participated in that conversation or listened to the recording can get on and now do a deep dive, a really focused conversation with the speaker, and ask questions. How does this apply to me? Or I'm struggling with this or whatever. But it's an opportunity for a really rich conversation with the person you heard speaking just 2 days ago. So we're excited about the format. We've had one of these before, and that was very successful. And we're excited that we've got them now scheduled through the rest of the year.
Awesome.
So there are opportunities again for our members to present, and there are opportunities for our community to participate in a really in-depth conversation.
Yeah, and first of all, I can't wait. And I want you to know, look at our faces, right? We have so much fun just doing the little 4 or 5 minute promo video, right? I always get energized when I'm in your presence, Margot. And so there's a little video here that talks about what the topic will be, having fun with Org Chart 101, which is going to be a BizLab version of what I'm covering in the last 12 tips. Let me go stop sharing now. The last 12 tips of this book, right, is basically the same content, if you will. It's just repurposing the content for that context, right? So again, we're talking this year. I'm spending a lot of time this year, investing a lot of time this year in what I know about practice building and what I know about being an aspiring or emerging coach, and where I've got and so it's just fun to stack up the content and the hits out there in the in the World Wide Web that are in support of coaches and the profession. So,
and I think
awesome.
it's going to be, I think it's going to be a dynamic conversation, and I think that it's going to be, you know, cross my fingers, well attended, because it's something that everyone can benefit from.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's what's funny about it is, well, I see the humor in everything, so maybe it's not funny for everyone, but you know, people get in their own way. Oh, I'm a coach. It's different because I'm a coach. No, I'm a lawyer. It's different because I'm. No, it's not different. Every business needs to know what it's selling, who it's selling it to, how do those people know they can buy it, what are the processes that move somebody from a John Doe or a Jane Doe to a lead, to a prospect, to a client. How do you serve them once they buy it? How do you account for it? How do you report taxes to the government? And how do you decide budgets, forecasts, projections? And how do you know what you can invest in and pay for and cash flow? And, you know, I don't care what the business is. Any business has to consider those things. So why would coaches be any different? Oh, because I'm a coach. Well, we'll talk about it. We're going to have a fun conversation. Having fun with Org Chart 101. As we move towards the end of today's session, let me go ahead and make last call for comments, questions. And I always do that packaged with gratitude that you guys are here at all, to make it a little more dynamic, a little more interactive than if I was just a solo talking head. But, you know, I would do it. If nobody was around, I'd still show up and do it. But last call for comments, questions, jokes, compliments, anything like that before we dismiss for this week.
I think it's just a good reminder to consider coaching, do the work, and be prepared to put the effort in, and then you'll see results.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's true with anything in life, isn't it, Sue?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, if you want to make a better peanut butter and jelly sandwich, prepare to make a better peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Public speaking is no different. That's right. Well, unless there's anything else, I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me for another installment of Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included. We have, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of looking forward, we have one more tip. And it's like, it might be my favorite tip in the whole section. And one more tip, and I'll just preview. It's called Little Pink Spoons. And it's the self-promotion category, but it's the tip that really bridges us to the next category, which is all about engagement enrollment, which is another way of saying sales. How do we sell? How do we get people enrolled? How do we sell our leadership? How do we sell our services? How do we get people engaged in what we're doing and what they're doing? How do we get people enrolled in our programs? If I'm in an organization and I have direct reports, how do I get them engaged? I have to sell my leadership. I have to sell the team. I have to sell the project. I have to sell the mission, the vision. I have to sell, you know, the importance of stockholder earnings. Whatever I'm selling, I got to get people engaged, right? Or if I'm at a private practice, building my coaching practice privately, right? I got to get people enrolled. I got to get the contract signed. I got to get the credit card, right? So that's the next section that we're moving into. But before we get into it, we have one more tip next week in self-promotion, which is Little Pink Spoons. And next week, you'll see the bridge between how the Little Pink Spoons tip wraps up self-promotion and gets us into engagement enrollment. So we are on our way. 10 tips down, 42 to go. Thank you guys for joining me for another installment of Get a Klu in 52. I really appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you real soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.